Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are continuing our Toyota engine overhaul series, and in this part, we are working on the Toyota Corolla 1ZR 1.6-liter engine. This engine is commonly used not only in the Corolla, but also in several other Toyota vehicles. Toyota also produces engines like the 2ZR 1.8-liter and 3ZR 2.0-liter, and even though the engine sizes are different, the overall design and working procedure are very similar. The biggest difference is mainly the short block size and displacement, while most of the assembly process, components, and working methods remain almost the same. If you learn the correct procedure on this engine, you can easily apply the same knowledge to many other Toyota engines as well. In the previous video, which was part 1 of this series, we showed how to prepare the engine block, install the crankshaft, and fit the main bearings correctly. We also demonstrated how to tighten the crankshaft bearing caps according to the proper torque specifications. If you have not watched that video yet, you can find the link in the description, and I recommend watching it first so you can fully understand the complete engine rebuilding process step by step. Now this video is part 2, and in this part, we will focus on installing the pistons, piston rings, and connecting rods into the engine short block. Before installing the pistons, the first and very important step is to check the cylinder bore and inspect the piston rings that will be used in the engine. Whenever you install new piston rings, you must always check the ring gap carefully. This step is extremely important because an incorrect ring gap can cause serious engine problems later. To check the ring gap, we place the piston ring inside the cylinder bore and push it slightly down using the piston so that the ring sits straight and evenly inside the cylinder. Once the ring is properly seated, we can see the gap between the two ends of the ring. This gap should not be too small and it should not be too large. If the gap is too small, when the engine heats up during operation, the metal expands and the two ends of the ring may touch each other. When that happens, the ring can lock inside the cylinder and the engine may seize very quickly, which can cause severe engine damage. On the other hand, if the gap is too large, the engine will lose compression and the combustion pressure will escape, reducing engine power and efficiency. For accurate measurement, most mechanics use a feeler gauge to measure the exact gap between the ring ends. In this engine, we have already checked the ring gap and it is within the correct specification according to the repair manual. After confirming that
Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are continuing our detailed engine overhaul series, and in this episode, we are working on the Toyota Corolla 1ZR 1.6-liter engine. This engine is widely used not only in the Toyota Corolla, but also in several other Toyota vehicles around the world. The design is part of Toyota's ZR engine family, which includes the 1ZR, 2ZR, and 3ZR engines. If you have experience working on any of these engines, you will notice that the internal design, assembly procedure, and most of the components are very similar. The major difference between these engines is mainly the displacement and the size of the short block. The 1ZR engine has a displacement of 1600 cc or 1.6 liters, while the 2ZR and 3ZR engines have larger capacities, but the general working method, repair approach, and assembly process remain almost the same. Because of this similarity, the information in this video will also be useful if you are rebuilding a 2ZR or 3ZR engine. In the previous video of this series, which was part 1, we focused on preparing the short block and installing the crankshaft. We carefully installed the crankshaft bearings, positioned the crankshaft into the engine block, and tightened the main bearing caps according to the correct torque specifications. That step is extremely important because the crankshaft is the heart of the engine and proper installation ensures smooth engine rotation and long-term reliability. If you have not watched part 1 yet, you can find the link in the description of this video because it will help you understand the full rebuilding process step by step. Now in this video we are continuing with part 2 where we will install the pistons, piston rings and connecting rods and complete the short block assembly of this engine. Before installing any piston components, the first step is to inspect the cylinder bore and the piston rings that we are going to install. This inspection is very important because even a small mistake during this stage can cause serious engine problems later. One of the most important checks is the piston ring end gap. The piston rings expand when the engine heats up during operation, so the gap between the ends of the ring must be within the correct specification. If the gap is too small, the ring ends can touch each other as the engine temperature rises, and this can cause the ring to seize inside the cylinder, leading to severe engine damage. On the other hand, if the gap is too large, compression will be reduced and the engine may lose power and efficiency. A simple and common method to check the piston ring gap is to place the ring inside the cylinder bore and then use a piston to gently push the ring down a little so that it sits evenly and straight inside the cylinder. Once the ring is properly positioned in the bore, you can observe the gap between the two ends of the ring. This gap should fall within the manufacturer's recommended specification. For a more precise measurement, you can use a feeler gauge to measure the exact clearance between the ring ends. Always refer to the repair manual for the correct specification values. After confirming that the piston ring gap is correct, we can move to the next step, which is preparing the piston and connecting rod assembly. Each piston is connected to a connecting rod through a piston pin, also known as a wrist pin. When installing the piston and connecting rod, it is extremely important to pay attention to the direction marks provided on both the piston and the connecting rod. These marks indicate the correct orientation during installation. On Toyota ZR engines, these marks must face the front side of the engine, which is the timing chain or pulley side. Installing the piston in the wrong direction can lead to improper lubrication and imbalance inside the engine, so always double-check the orientation before proceeding. Next, we insert the piston pin through the piston and the connecting rod. Before inserting the pin, it is recommended to apply a small amount of clean engine oil on the pin so that it slides smoothly and prevents any metal-to-metal friction during initial operation. After the piston pin is installed, we secure it with a locking clip or retaining clip. This small component plays a very critical role in engine safety because it prevents the piston pin from moving sideways and coming out during engine operation. If this clip is not installed properly or is accidentally forgotten, the piston pin can slide out and damage the cylinder wall, which can quickly destroy the engine. Therefore, always ensure that the locking clip is properly seated in its groove. After installing the piston pin and locking clips, we check the movement of the piston on the connecting rod. The piston should rotate smoothly on the pin without excessive resistance. At the same time, it should not feel loose. If the piston pin fit is too loose, it can produce a knocking sound during engine operation, especially when the engine is cold. Once we confirm that the piston and connecting rod assembly is working smoothly, we proceed to install the piston rings. Normally, a piston ring set consists of 3 rings. The first is the oil control ring, the second is the second compression ring, and the third is the top compression ring. Each ring has a specific function inside the engine. The oil control ring is responsible for regulating the amount of oil on the cylinder wall. It usually consists of 3 parts, 2 thin rails and a spring expander in the center. Its job is to remove excess oil from the cylinder wall and return it to the crankcase, preventing oil from entering the combustion chamber. The second compression ring provides additional sealing and also assists in controlling oil consumption. The top compression ring is the main sealing ring that contains the combustion pressure inside the cylinder. When installing the rings, we follow a specific order. First, we install the oil control ring assembly, then the second compression ring, and finally the top compression ring. During installation, it is very important to check the markings on the rings. Many piston rings have marks such as T, top, or a number like 2. The T or top marking indicates the upper side of the ring and must face upward toward the top of the piston. Installing the ring upside down can affect sealing and cause oil burning or poor engine performance. Another important detail is the position of the ring gaps. The gaps of the rings should not be aligned with each other. Instead, they should be placed at different angles around the piston. This arrangement helps maintain proper compression and reduces the possibility of combustion gases leaking past the rings. Once all the piston rings are correctly installed, we apply clean engine oil to the piston rings and the cylinder wall. Proper lubrication at this stage helps the piston slide smoothly into the cylinder and protects the components during the first engine startup. To install the piston into the cylinder, we use a piston ring compressor tool. This tool compresses the piston rings tightly around the piston so that they can enter the cylinder bore without being damaged. After placing the ring compressor around the piston and tightening it securely, we position the piston over the cylinder. Then we gently tap the top of the piston using a soft tool, such as the wooden handle of a hammer, allowing the piston to slide smoothly into the cylinder bore. This process should always be done slowly and carefully to avoid damaging the rings or scratching the cylinder wall. Once the piston is fully inside the cylinder, the connecting rod will align with the crankshaft journal. We then install the connecting rod bearing and the connecting rod cap. It is important to remember that engine oil should not be applied under the bearing seat or between the bearing and the connecting rod housing. The bearing must sit firmly in place. Oil should only be applied on the inner bearing surface where it contacts the crankshaft journal. After placing the bearing and cap correctly, we install the connecting rod bolts. These bolts must be tightened using a torque wrench according to the manufacturer's specifications. According to the repair manual for this engine, the first step is to tighten the connecting rod bolts to 20 Newton meters. After reaching the stock value, we rotate the crankshaft manually to check that the piston and connecting rod move freely without any binding or resistance. This check is extremely important because it allows us to detect any installation problems before continuing. If everything rotates smoothly, we move to the second step of tightening the bolts. The second step requires tightening the connecting rod bolts an additional 90 degrees. This angle tightening method ensures that the bolts achieve the correct clamping force and maintain proper bearing clearance. After completing the final tightening, we again rotate the crankshaft and observe the movement of the pistons. Everything should move smoothly and consistently. You may also notice a small amount of side movement in the connecting rod, which is called side play. This is completely normal and is present even in brand new engines as long as it is within the manufacturer's specified range. After repeating this procedure for all pistons and connecting rods and confirming that the crankshaft rotates smoothly, the short block assembly is now complete. Completing the short block is a major milestone in the engine rebuilding process because it forms the main foundation of the engine. In the next part of this series, we will continue assembling the remaining components of the engine. We will prepare and install the cylinder head, install the timing chain system, mount the oil pump, and assemble the rest of the engine components until the engine rebuild is fully complete. I hope this detailed explanation helped you understand the process of installing pistons and assembling the short block of the Toyota 1ZR engine. If you found this video helpful and learned something new, please support the channel by liking the video, sharing it with others who are interested in engine repair and mechanical work, and leaving your comments below. Your feedback and questions help improve future videos. If you have any questions about this engine or about engine rebuilding in general, feel free to ask in the comment section and I will try my best to answer them. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon so you can receive notifications for our upcoming engine repair and diagnostic videos. Thank you very much for watching, and Allah Hafiz.
If the piston ring gap is correct, we move to the next step, which is assembling the piston with the connecting rod. The piston and connecting rod are connected together using a piston pin, which is also known as a gudgeon pin. Before installing the piston pin, we must carefully check the direction marks on the piston and connecting rod. Most pistons have a mark, arrow, or symbol that indicates the front side of the engine. This mark must always face the front side, which is usually the timing chain or pulley side of the engine. The connecting rod may also have a marking, and both of these marks should face in the same direction to ensure correct installation. Now we carefully slide the piston pin through the piston and the connecting rod. After installing the pin, we must install the locking clips on both sides of the piston pin. These small clips are extremely important and should never be forgotten. If the locking clip is not installed properly, the piston pin may move sideways during engine operation and come out of position. If that happens, it can scratch the cylinder wall and cause serious damage to the engine. Before installing the piston pin, it is recommended to apply a small amount of engine oil so the pin moves smoothly inside the piston and connecting rod. Once the pin is installed, we rotate the piston slightly by hand to check that it moves freely and smoothly. It should not be too tight and it should not feel loose. If the piston pin is loose, it may create a knocking noise when the engine is running, especially during cold starts. After assembling the piston and connecting rod, the next step is installing the piston rings. A standard piston ring set usually contains 3 rings. The first ring is the oil control ring, which normally has a spring expander and thin rails. The second ring is the second compression ring, and the third ring is the top compression ring. The correct installation order is very important. First, we install the oil control ring assembly, which includes the spring expander and the thin oil rails. After that, we install the second compression ring, and finally we install the top compression ring. Many piston rings have markings such as numbers or letters like T or top. These markings indicate the correct side of the ring. The letter T usually means top, and it must face upward when installing the ring. If the rings are installed upside down, the engine may consume oil or lose compression. After installing the rings on the piston, we also need to position the ring gaps correctly. The gaps of the rings should not line up in the same direction. Instead, they should be placed at different angles around the piston so that the compression gases cannot escape easily. In many cases, mechanics position the ring gaps approximately 120 degrees apart from each other around the piston. Once the rings are correctly installed and positioned, we apply clean engine oil to the piston rings and cylinder wall. Proper lubrication is very important before inserting the piston into the cylinder because it prevents scratching and reduces friction during the first engine start. To install the piston into the cylinder, we use a special piston ring compressor tool. This tool compresses the piston rings tightly around the piston so that the piston can slide smoothly into the cylinder bore. First, we place the compressor tool around the piston and tighten it carefully. It is important to make sure the tool is straight and properly aligned with the piston. If the compressor tool is tilted or incorrectly installed, the piston rings may break during installation. After tightening the compressor tool, we gently tap the top of the piston using a wooden hammer handle or a soft tool. If everything is aligned correctly, the piston will slide smoothly into the cylinder without excessive force. Once the piston enters the cylinder, the connecting rod will reach the crankshaft journal. At this stage, we install the connecting rod bearing and then attach the connecting rod cap. One important point to remember is that oil should not be applied under the bearing seat. The bearing must sit clean and dry in its housing so that it locks properly in place. However, we do apply engine oil to the bearing surface where it contacts the crankshaft. This helps reduce friction and protects the engine components during the first start. After that, we install the connecting rod bolts and tighten them using a torque wrench. According to the repair manual, the tightening procedure is done in 2 steps. In the first step, we tighten the bolts to 20 Newton meters. After tightening all connecting rod bolts to this torque value, we rotate the crankshaft by hand to check that everything moves smoothly. This step is very important because it confirms that the pistons and connecting rods are installed correctly and there is no binding or unusual resistance. If the crankshaft rotates smoothly, we proceed to the second step. In the second step, we tighten each bolt an additional 90 degrees according to the specification. Once this is completed, we again check the movement of the pistons and the rotation of the crankshaft. The pistons should move smoothly up and down, and there should be a small amount of side play in the connecting rods. This small side movement is completely normal.